Nationwide is so much more than a great insurance company. They're one of America's largest financial services companies. Like how I'm more than Saquon Barkley, the NFL's reigning leading rusher. I'm also the NFL's leading husher. Shh, hush up back there. Wow, I might have just set the hushing record. Well, almost. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Investment Services Corporation, member FINRA, Columbus, Ohio.
Happy holidays. Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a happy holiday.
Looking for these better days.
It is Wednesday, December 10th. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. 2 NBA Cup games last night, 2 NBA Cup unders. UConn wins at the Garden, and the Trench Report is out. Mackenzie Rivers joins me on this episode of Better Day, presented by FanDuel. Yesterday up on BetterDay.com and emailed out to Better Day subscribers, not just for the Insider and Premium members, but all Better Day subscribers. Mackenzie, you wrote an article about NBA Cup trends, and they held true last night as both games go under. The Magic with a 117-108 come-from-behind win over the Heat, and the Knicks a 117-101 win over the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, now 13 out of 16 knockout games. It should always be this easy. And one kind of subsection that I talked about in the article was when it's a close game, it's a closely lined games. Now there's been 7 times it's been less than a field goal, 3 points either way. Those games have gone 7-0 under, Magic and Heat hitting for us, and now under by 20 points per game. And I'm kind of mad at myself for not making more money, because when it was 35-39 Raptors after the first quarter, that was the first time the live line, it was essentially a pick'em game. And I'm like, well, if it's essentially a pick'em game for the last 3 quarters, that should be a hammer under spot. And they actually went under the whole game, even though the first quarter went over by 20 points. It slowed down a lot.
And that's a tremendous point. Maybe that's something to look for here in these games as we, you can, from a live betting perspective, I'm saying, take advantage of that, because that would have been a good time to jump in. It also was a great live betting opportunity that I'm upset that I missed it. But what happened in the first quarter of that Heat Magic game? The Heat jumped out to what was it, a 20-4 lead over the Orlando Magic? They finished the first quarter 30-17. So, obviously Orlando did come back and score a little bit here, but a 20-4 run to start the game, and still Orlando wins with margin?
I mean, whose team is it? That's kind of the essential question for the Orlando Magic. Did they kind of come out hesitating because Franz Wagner's out? Most people would say he's their best player this year, if not going forward. And Paolo Banchero's back in. Should he be the star player, or should it be the big free agent signing, Desmond Bane? In this game, they kind of settled more on the Desmond Bane route, 37 points for him. Banchero's, it's funny, he's always been okay on offense and kind of bad on defense. This year, he's kind of the opposite. Every game he's been back, the opponent's team total has gone under, including 2 versus the Heat, and he's only scoring like 15, 20 points a game. He seems to be buying in to perhaps a new role for him.
Well, now the Magic and the Knicks advance to Vegas for this weekend's NBA Cup semifinals. Tonight we have 2 more quarterfinal games. We have the Suns at the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we talked a lot about this Suns team, Mackenzie, with the full court press and the way that they play defense, and can that cause some fits here for the Oklahoma City Thunder? Currently up on FanDuel right now, the Thunder 14.5-point favorites.
I don't think it can. I think it's maybe playing right into what the Thunder do best. They have a lot of versatile players, and SGA's probably, either a shooting guard or one of the bigger point guards in the league, and he's fine, playing up tempo. So I'm considering Suns team total under because a lot of the points they generate, like we saw versus the Timberwolves, is through that pressure. And if that pressure is not working, perhaps their offense struggles like most teams do versus the Thunder. But I might just lay it with the Thunder because they might just say, all right, you want to be in a track race with us? We'll win 140, 126. Actually, that wouldn't cover. So that's how difficult it is to lay it with the Thunder, but that's the direction I'm leaning.
So this was a game that it's a rematch of a game that we saw a couple of weeks ago,
Yep.
and the line is exactly the same. So they played on November 28th in OKC, so same location. Thunder were a 14.5-point favorite. The game went over. They won the game 123 to 119. So a close game, and the reason why it was close was because of a 37-29
Right.
fourth quarter win by the Phoenix Suns. So OKC was winning and covering throughout the entirety of the game, and the Suns made it look closer with a fourth quarter surge.
They played the Jazz recently, the Thunder, for the second time, and in the first game they were down 15 and still 8-point favorites in the live line, which is crazy, but they ended up winning that game by like 25. And then when they played the Jazz again, I had the feeling that they would roll from the start, knowing that they don't want to get down by 20 again, and they ended up winning that game by like 40. Here versus the Suns, they were up the whole game, kind of had a laissez-faire fourth quarter, and the Suns came back. I'm not sure. Maybe, it is a cup game, so motivation is going to be at its max, we think. But I'm not sure they come out with that same intensity right away like they did versus the Jazz. So I think that one game is probably, if you're arguing for the Suns, it's like, yeah, we're going to backdoor cover this.
So you're saying that, all right, would you be interested then in a first half bet?
I mean, what's the line? It's probably going to be like 8.
Thunder minus 8.5.
I'd have to think about it. I mean, it's they're making you pay for it. The Suns are
Okay.
I mean, the Suns are better than we thought 2 weeks ago, but so
Yeah.
are the Thunder.
Okay. Your second game tonight, the San Antonio Spurs are at the Lakers. No Wemby for the Spurs tonight. Lakers 5.5-point favorites up on FanDuel.
Model makes it 5.42. Wish I had a better bet for you guys, but hey, why not the under? 13 out of 16 over 16 knockout rounds in 3 years. Probably going to be 15 out of 18. We'll see.
Yeah, why not the under? Totals tonight in the Suns game against the Thunder is 225.5, and the total in the Spurs-Lakers game 236.5. Yeah, I would go with both unders in
And
these games tonight.
We've seen the playoffs go under generally. Some years are zags. We've seen the play-in tournaments, but I think the cup game is so uniquely good for under bets because there's no higher scoring months historically than October and November and December as teams are getting settled down. So it's like the contrast is at its highest between games on Saturday they're going to meet, or maybe Monday, whenever the regular season game continues, versus these games. And we saw in the Heat Magic game, at least I did. There was some clenched teeth. There was some gnawing. You know, these are real games, and the defense gets picked up for them, and the referees let them go a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so this weekend we have the semifinals here in Vegas. We have both games will be on Saturday here in Vegas. Championship is not until Tuesday, but
All
we
right,
do
I
have
have not
the
seen
odds.
the line. Magic Knicks.
Oh, you want to talk about the game lines? Okay, well I was going to get to the futures market here, but
Okay.
I
Well,
do have
one,
the game
one
line
will
though.
inform the other.
I do have the game line though. You want to guess the game line?
So it's a neutral court.
Neutral court,
No Wagner.
no Wagner.
I think they have the other
No,
Wagner,
no,
but no
not
Franz.
Mo Wagner.
Yeah, no
not
Franz.
Mo Wagner.
I'm gonna say Knicks are 2.5-point favorites.
You didn't get the joke. I was saying it's not Mo Wagner, it's no Wagner.
I was saying
You
Blue
didn't-
Orange. I don't get the joke.
Knicks 4-point favorites
Yep.
up on FanDuel.
I knew I was light. Too much respect
Okay.
for the Magic without their best player, maybe.
Okay. Odds to win the NBA Cup: the Oklahoma City Thunder up on FanDuel minus 130, the Knicks plus 360, the Magic plus 500, Lakers plus 700, Spurs 16-1, Suns 35-1.
I think the Knicks might be a play. I think you make the final, and then you have a 330 ticket. Finals are probably going to be closer. They're going to rig them one way or the other. At least there's going to be one quarter where it's up in the air. So I'd take the Knicks plus 330 for the value.
So you're saying, yeah. So if they're 4-point favorites over the Magic.
Yeah, I think they
right?
get through
So
that. Yeah.
They get through that, and if you're sitting here with a plus 360 ticket on the Knicks, so
You might get
the
lucky
one
and you might
win.
play the Lakers, and it's a pick'em game.
That's a tremendous point. Yeah, sure. I like it. I like it a lot. Let's recap the terrible night that I had on the ice last night because, hey, we don't shy away from any losses ever. And I lost 3 games last night on the ice. Well, really 2 games, but I played 3 plays in those 2 games. Took the over in the first period between the Bruins and the Blues. The game went over, 5-2 final. The Bruins win. First period just did not. 1-0 Blues at the end of the first period. Same thing with the Sabres and the Oilers. Took the over in the first period. Game went over, 4-3 final in overtime. Sabres win, but the first period did not. Only 1 goal scored in the first period. I was also on the Oilers last night, and what a terrible just start for them. And then what a tease. They score the game-tying goal with 1 second remaining in regulation.
It's happened more often this year. I never saw that. Now, like the buzzer beaters,
buzzer
the new
beaters,
hockey
yeah.
thing.
Well, listen, you got the extra attacker on. You're just throwing pucks towards the net. There's a scramble.
It's a madness. It's madhouse.
Yeah, defensive players are just blocking the goalie's view. Like, it gets crazy out there. And, yeah, Connor McDavid scored the game-tying goal with 1 second remaining on the clock. The arena goes wild. And what happens? 45 seconds into overtime, they lose. So,
Come back with a hot dog.
I'm telling you, Mackenzie, I have been on the other side of these bets so many times that I almost feel like every time a team gets that miraculous game-tying goal to send it into overtime, you should bet against them in overtime. I feel like the momentum is non-existent, and they always lose in overtime.
Is an adrenaline drop versus momentum?
I wish that I could, like, search that. Like, can we query, like, tie the game with less than a minute left, and then how do you do in overtime? There's got to be some, like, AI that can find that out. You know?
We're getting there. Like, we're getting there. Not with any of the tools we currently possess.
No, we're getting. That's the next project up on BetterDay.com. How many times can Scott get burned? So we will certainly look to bounce back. We did give out a winner in college basketball on yesterday's show, though, Mackenzie. UConn at the Garden. I'm telling you, I fully admitted on the podcast yesterday that I am not a college basketball expert. However, I know some things, and I know that when UConn plays at the Garden, they win. Number 5 UConn beat number 18 Florida 77-73 last night at Madison Square Garden. If you played it on the early line, like we talked about it, -2.5, you got to cover. If you played it at -3.5, you got to cover. If you waited till post, when it closed at 4.5, you did not get a cover because UConn won the game by 4 points. And the reason why that game wound up being a 4.5 point spread at the close is because Tarris Reed, one of UConn's best players who's been out for a couple of games, was finally announced in. And he hasn't played since that game against Illinois at Madison Square Garden. So it's been since November 28th. So it's been a little over a week since the last time he played. And then once he got announced in, because he was questionable, the line shot up to 4.5. So UConn wins, but they don't cover the closing line. And then
missed
elsewhere,
free throw with 7 seconds to go.
Yeah, and elsewhere in the Jimmy V Classic last night, BYU, number 10 BYU, gets a buzzer beater win against Clemson, 67-64. But this was the largest second half deficit ever for BYU to come back and win this game. AJ Debinsa, who could be the number 1 overall pick, the number 1 recruit in the nation that went to BYU, he scored 28 points. 22 of his 28 came in the second half. They were down 22 points, and they came back to win that game at the buzzer. Clemson scored 21 straight points in the first half. They went up to they had the lead 43-22 at the half, and then BYU stormed all the way back. So what a comeback from them, and they get the win at the buzzer. They're 8-1 on this season. Always a fun time when you have college basketball at the world's most famous arena, Mackenzie. All right, we have the Trench Report that is out right now. Depending on what time you're listening to this podcast, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Every Wednesday it gets emailed to Better Day Insider and premium members. Let's talk about a little bit of its findings for this week 15.
Drinking and driving is a decision that will change your whole world. Things will never be the same once you get a DUI, because legal fees and time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way your world could be irreversibly changed after drinking and driving. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You could face a life-altering injury or even death. But you're not the only one who could face those consequences. Your decision to drink and drive could permanently change someone else's world, whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. Always plan for a safe ride home. The only decision that'll change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. It's never worth it to drive drunk. Don't risk it. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
NFL Week 15 Trench Report comes out here, depending on what time you are listening to this podcast. Could be out already. You could have already read it. And if you did, tell me what you think. Every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we send out the Trench Report to Better Day Insider and Premium members. It's available up on the website, betterday.com. Just click on the NFL tab or click on the Research tab. And the Trench Report continues to crush, Mackenzie. I mean, the record speaks for itself. You want to talk about all the straight-up wins. It's great. The underdogs in the close matchups. So the straight-up record for the top 5 mismatches overall since we started publishing the Trench Report in week number 5, 37-13 straight up, 11 outright underdog winners out of those 13 straight up wins. And in the top 3 closest matchups, starting in week number 8, the underdogs in those games are 13-7-1 ATS with 8 outright winners. Let's talk about some of the biggest movements from week 14 to week number 15, a new feature that we just started putting in last week, and I thought it was very interesting, so decided to continue it. Here is your biggest offensive line improvement, Mackenzie. The Minnesota Vikings from week 14 to week 15, your biggest offensive line improvement.
Were they inspired by the valiant return of J.J. McCarthy?
I mean, maybe. The kid played well, right? So you got to give it up to them.
Maybe the other way around. Either way, best offensive performance in 2 months for the Vikings.
The biggest offensive line decline from week 14 to week 15.
Chiefs.
The Houston Texans.
Same game, different team.
Yeah, despite the win, the Texans had a decrease in their offensive line grades. The top, and this would make sense, the top defensive line improvement from last week to this week?
Kansas City Chiefs.
The Kansas City Chiefs. So it kind of makes sense. If the Texans get a downgrade from the line performance last week in that game, the Chiefs got an upgrade for their defensive line performance in that game. And also a significant upgrade this week, the Philadelphia Eagles. Remember last week we talked about how the Eagles were the biggest defensive line decline from week 13 to week 14.
Yep.
Well, they played well. 7 sacks against Justin Herbert. Their defensive line is the second highest upgrade from week 14 to week 15. Your biggest defensive line decline, the Arizona Cardinals. They took a massive blow this week based off their grades from last week. Quickly, just to go over some of the mismatches and the overall mismatches. Again, for the full Trench Report, you can always find it up on betterday.com or in your email if you are a Better Day Insider or Premium member. But, Mac, one of the games that you were certainly intrigued by when we talked about the line for Week 15 was the Kansas City Chiefs against the Los Angeles Chargers. And I believe you were not in agreement with the spread, as you felt that the Chargers should get a little bit more love and the Chiefs maybe a little bit of a downgrade, if you will.
Yeah, I think eventually some of this attrition is going to catch up to the Chiefs. I mean, they played a lot of football the last few years. I think there is a sense of, wow, it's really over.
Well, the Chiefs are a 4.5-point favorite up on FanDuel right now over the Chargers.
What does the Trench Report say, though?
The Trench Report would agree, as this is the number one biggest mismatch of the week. The Kansas City Chiefs against the Los Angeles Chargers. It makes sense if you look at the Chiefs and their improvement in their defensive line from last week's performances. Yeah. The Chargers actually had a decrease in their offensive line grade from week 14.
So this is the biggest mismatch across the board of any. So the Seahawks are in a bigger mismatch than the Colts.
This
and they're 13.5-point favorites. Wow.
This is remember, we don't care about the spreads, bro.
I'm just wondering, like the Bears versus the Browns, like this is the biggest mismatch. Eagles versus the Raiders isn't a bigger mismatch. Wow.
It's on there. It's on there. Some of these are on there, but the Chiefs and the Chargers, the biggest overall trench mismatch of the week in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs. There are some very, very interesting close matchups this week, and you would think, man, maybe we should take the points with some of these dogs. It has been very, very profitable. Running backs, RB1s dominated last week in the Trench Report. Can we duplicate the success of last week's RB1s? Let's see if we can. The Baltimore Ravens and Derrick Henry with their significant matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals. That would be a running mismatch. How about the Vikings over the Cowboys? Maybe it's an Aaron Jones game or a Jordan Mason game for the Vikings here against the Cowboys. The Commanders have a running edge against the Giants. Could Chris Rodriguez emerge or Bill Krosky-Merritt? Rams over the Lions is an interesting one, and the Rams have been able to run the ball extremely well. It's not just Kyren Williams. It's Blake Corum now running the football very well. And the Bills over the Patriots is a rushing mismatch. Perhaps James Cook gets back into the end zone after Josh Allen has been hogging all the touchdowns, Mackenzie.
So do we have the running back one's overall record? It seems like it's 4-1 every week, 5-0 every week.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and meticulously go through it. But I can tell you last week, they all went over, and 4 out of the 5 scored touchdowns. James Cook was the only one that didn't score a touchdown. But if you bet Josh Allen to score a touchdown, you would have gotten that touchdown, right? And you certainly could have added like some backups, like Blake Corum as well, like for the Rams, and you would have gotten both of those guys to go over and both of them to score touchdowns. So there's definitely angles to play here with the Trench Report and these rushing mismatches. Again, the full Trench Report available to Better Day Insider and Premium members. Check it out up on betterday.com. Released every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We got big news in the NFL yesterday, Mackenzie, as Phillip Rivers is unretiring to sign with the Indianapolis Colts practice squad.
Don't call it a comeback.
So, he's 44 years old. He is on the practice squad. He is eligible for the Hall of Fame next year.
Does it restart? Does he have to wait another 5 years?
Well, he's actually it's actually this year. He's a semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2026. Now, him being on the practice squad does not affect his eligibility. However, if he gets signed to the active roster, whether he plays or not, his clock resets and he won't be eligible again until 2031.
I hope he plays. Who cares about? I mean, you think he's a Hall of Famer? I don't think in my personal like Hall of Fame, but the way he's better than Eli Manning all time, right? Statistically,
Eli's got two Super Bowl MVPs.
That's true. I mean, I would pick Eli Manning before Phillip Rivers, I wouldn't have either of them in, but I feel like they both get in.
You know what's crazy is I saw some things online. So this you can pull this up while we're talking. I want you to go to Football Reference, and I want you to pull up the all-time passing yardage leaders. Okay?
All right.
And I want you to tell me who number 7 is all-time NFL passing yardage leader.
That would be Phillip J. Rivers, 63,440 yards.
Okay. Now, who is 8th right behind him?
Matthew Stafford coming up on his heels.
And how close is he to Phillip Rivers?
Looks
one
like
game?
300 yards, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Phillip Rivers is probably like, yeah, I don't want Matthew Stafford to pass me in passing yardage.
This could be Stafford's last regular season runaround. He might win the Super Bowl and go off into the sunset. Phillip Rivers needs like 240 to get to stay 7th.
Yeah,
maybe. Matthew Stafford, by the way, 5 less years than Phillip Rivers. Now he's a Hall of Famer,
right? Amazing, right? It's amazing. I just thought that was funny. It's like you look at like how close he's like he really saw Matthew Stafford trying to pass him for 7th all time, and he was like, "Nope, I ain't letting that happen. I ain't letting that happen." So if he plays, he'll be the 5th quarterback in NFL history to start a game at age 44 or older. Mackenzie, can you name me the 4 other quarterbacks to start a game age 44 or older.
Tom J. Brady.
That is one.
Who's that guy for the Raiders? Dang. He used to be like a punter. Vinny Testaverde.
Vinny Testaverde, yes, good job.
That's another one. A Raiders guy's gonna annoy me. I know he played like one game. And Aaron Rodgers isn't old enough yet, so I only know those two. Who else we got?
Okay,
Urback.
You're missing Warren Moon.
Warren Moon.
And the one that I don't think you're gonna get is Steve DeBerg.
Never would have got that. Who am I thinking?
You never would have got that. Steve DeBerg retired with the Falcons, but played the bulk of his career, I guess. He's bounced around. Broncos, Bucks, Chiefs. Yep. But started at the Cowboys in 1977 and finished in 1998 with the Atlanta Falcons. That is a long career, man. That is a long, long career. So, Philip Rivers would join that illustrious group of quarterbacks. We'll have plenty more NFL, of course, coming up tomorrow. We'll get to our Thursday night preview with our same game parlay. Oh, the other news that came out in the NFL yesterday, apparently there was a report that the New York Giants it was floated around that Marcus Freeman, the head coach at Notre Dame, was a potential candidate for the New York Giants head coaching job. Well, that has been refuted as Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame said, he ain't going anywhere. No. No.
Very, very UConn-esque. You get these floaters out there, you get a new contract, everybody's happy. By the way, it was George Blanda I was thinking of, who was 48 years old when he threw his last pass. I think he was like a full-time punter at that point.
Yeah.
But 48 years old on an NFL football field for the Oakland Raiders.
I mean, you know what's funny is you look at pictures of George Blanda, and you look at how old he looked, right? And granted, he's in his 40s, whatever. But look at a picture of George Blanda in his 40s, in the NFL, and then look at a picture of Tom Brady.
It's crazy. It's like something. It looks like Tom Brady's grandfather right now is playing quarterback.
Yeah. It's what? This makes no sense. How is that possible?
What happened in the 50s to these people? It feels so grizzled.
Right? Yeah, they're smoking cigarettes on the sidelines. It's just a completely different lifestyle back then. Anyway, more NFL coming up on tomorrow's show as we will get to our Thursday night preview with a same game parlay for the Thursday night game coming up between the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Bucks. Trent Report, as I mentioned, is available up on betterday.com, as are all of our other features. Mac is going to do some more, we'll have some NBA model plays coming up later in the week. NBA Cup tonight. You can look at Mac's article from yesterday on the NBA Cup unders, and that might be the way you want to lean with the plays here tonight. Oh, also want to announce that coming up on Friday, our third live stream Q&A for Better Day Premium members will take place, and this week's guest will be joined by Kyle Hunter, who co-hosts the college football show with me on BetUS TV, which we will be on later on today. But Kyle also has been, handicapping for a long time. Kyle Hunter Picks. You follow him on Twitter. Everybody knows who he is. So Kyle is going to join us for the live Q&A for Better Day Premium members coming up on Friday. That's going to be at 2 o'clock Eastern time, Friday afternoon. So come ready with your questions, and we're going to have a good time on that. For Mackenzie Rivers, I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's hoping you make today and every day a better day.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening. Happy holidays! Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday.